Well, cheers and welcome to Tea with the Chamber. I'm Janine McKenna, President and CEO of the Emporia Area Chamber and Visit Emporia.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Herrera and I'm the Membership Director of the Chamber of Commerce and Visit Emporia. We are so excited to have the Lyon County Emergency Management Director with us, Mr. Jarrod Fell. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. I feel so important by the way you say that.
Oh my God, that's a mouthful. I was like, I hope I don't mess it up. I am like the person to butcher a name, so. Yes, so what's up? Tell me, what is COOP? I guess we can start off with that.
Okay. Continuity of emergency management planning is kind of how you can do your job if you're not in your office, if you are displaced and you can't be there, or how things will continue to go on if you're unable to be around at all. What to plan for all of the people within your business to know how to continue to operate if things happen.
Okay.
Whether that be any emergency, a loss of resources, or
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I think a lot of times, maybe it's just me, when I think of emergency management, I think of storms, I think of fire, I think of some of those larger events, but there's many things that a business and or individual organization need to think about in protecting their business.
absolutely.
So how can a business prepare for something like this?
Well, initially, I think we all have a responsibility to ensure patrons and staff are safe. So you look at those common things like what happens if you have a fire? These are just kind of things that we've done for years.
Right.
What happens if there's a fire? What do you do if there's a tornado? The life safety aspects. What do you do to protect those people? But once you get past those immediate life safety issues, you start looking at your business needs to continue to have revenue. You need to continue to operate. So how do you continue to do that when you have impacts from one of these events or something else? It's a process. The whole thing is the continuity of operations planning is a process. So you start at the basics, which is what are your threats and hazards. So you sit down and you collectively, plan should be coordinated with other partners. So you sit down, you identify what are the most common risks and hazards that you have. Is it power? Just identify those things. What do you need? Every business needs different things to continue to operate.
Right.
So identify those things and kind of prioritize them. And so then you can take kind of an analytical approach to what can you do to mitigate those things. If you were, so maybe buying a generator, having a generator so that if there's a power issue. But what does that look like if it's 1 day versus 24 hours versus 7 days?
Wow.
You don't typically see that, but there's companies that can't stay in business if they lose revenue for 7 days straight.
That's right.
Right.
So it's not an option to not think about these things. And when a tornado comes through your area, like recently we saw a Little Rock, those businesses in that area are impacted long term. Recovery can take years.
Right.
So we want to start with the foundation of identifying those risks. That's very important.
And what's the best way? Are there templates out there? Is there information that your office provides? Google it. What are ways that people can find out about, best ways or steps to take?
Yes. Yeah, there's information out there. They're welcome to call. But really, it's just sitting down and having just an honest approach to, you're going to have to identify your vulnerabilities. We all have vulnerabilities. And sit down and identify those. That's the very first step. And once you do that, comes the hard part, is you have to be honest about what resources are truly available to fix that. You have what you can mitigate and try to prevent from happening, which flooding is a good example for that. If you live in an area, if your building has flooded before because of torrential rains, or you can kind of prepare for that. There's things you can spend some money on or things you can do to prevent that from impacting your business potentially.
So Jarrod, you said something a little earlier that really caught my attention before we had the cameras rolling, that, having a plan of action and leadership. Touch on that point a little bit about micromanaging and like how it can be easier for the person in charge to spread it to other people.
Sure. So there's lots of books and information. Leadership Emporia is a great tool. You don't want to have one person having to manage everything that's going on. when chaos arrives, you want those mid-level, low-level, and high-level managers within your organization to take responsibility and feel empowered to make decisions. They just need to know what that mission is. And if you can make it simple so that they understand what the mission is, whether that's to continue the revenue stream and continue production, if they know what that overall mission is, then they can go make decisions without coming to you every time. Because typically what we see is your management figuring tactically out. Tactically, they'll figure out what the problems are and how to fix them. But your CEOs they're dealing with high level stuff, and they don't need to be drugged down into the weeds. You want to empower those employees. They need to know the plan in advance, understand what the overall mission is, so that they can go out and build a plan to take care of the problem. The continuity of operations plan allows that to happen, but you also have to have those leadership skills and develop and mentor those other leaders within your organization so that they can feel comfortable making those decisions and when that happens.
Wow.
Succession planning is also a big part of continuity of operations plans. If I'm not here, who can do my job?
You make a great point about making sure it's layered throughout the entire business.
Mm-hmm.
Because the job Rebecca does and where Rebecca sits in the office is different from the job I do. So she has a different perspectives and sees things differently than I do, than those in Visit Emporia, than those, throughout. And so I think having those multiple perspectives in that is very important
Absolutely.
to take a look at.
And it's hard to do. You guys each have different jobs, right?
Mhm.
And if there's no overlap, we, county government, is much like you guys, we don't have a lot of fat. We can just have people do extra tasks all the time so that they can learn these different things. They're busy, they're doing work.
Yeah.
We're not in the habit of having additional employees that we can just throw things on. So it becomes, it's a challenge not just for private businesses, it's a challenge at the government level too, that we ensure that those levels of succession are in place. People get sick, people have emergencies, they have to go, they take vacation time, and it's not fair for any organization or the employee themselves to be the only one that knows that job.
Right.
Then that's hard for us. That's hard for, I think,
is.
everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to make a conscious effort to ensure that, if you're payroll in an organization and you're the only one that does payroll, that's probably a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, and I think that's important. You mentioned succession planning as well, and we do talk to a lot of businesses. Don't start your succession planning when you're ready to sell your business or retire. Put your succession plan in place early on for various reasons, like you said, emergencies, things that happen that maybe you're not able to be there. Who else is going to be doing this? But also to create more value in your business so that when the time comes, you have it at the utmost value to sell or, to go forward. So you bring up a lot of good points.
Yeah, and that way everybody knows what's going on, and it's so easy to keep the ball rolling.
Plans are intended to be shared with those partners and resources that are
Absolutely.
within your plan. There's not really top secret plans.
So what else should businesses or individuals be thinking about when sitting down, because it can be very overwhelming.
Mhm.
Just coming in here to today, us talking, I was probably thinking pretty linear, now I'm not.
Sure.
And so it can be very overwhelming. Where's a good place? I know you said start out with risk assessment, but still that could be overwhelming.
Right.
What's maybe a good place to start, or what are ways to take it into smaller bites?
Well, like I said, you break it down into the different processes. There's a wealth of information online that can get you started. There's templates for continuity of operations plans out there. Half the plan is really just information, just literally putting in the essential information to your business or organization. Who do you purchase from? It's all the contact information. So that worst case scenario, if I'm the business, if I'm the CEO, or if I'm at a high level manager and I'm not there, somebody else can at least have a book to look at to see this is who we purchase from. I mean, you also have to consider what happens if all of our data goes away.
Yeah.
Where is all that? And so this is also a place, there's a lot of hosted solutions for continuity operations planning, and you can upload what forms you use, all of that information that you can save digitally, you can put up there, so that if you are displaced and you're storing records digitally, and you have processes that you've stored, you can still access all of that and potentially continue to operate depending on what your business is.
So with your job,
Mhm.
you take a look at Lyon County
Mhm.
and making sure that we're prepared.
Mhm.
Do you offer assistance to businesses, and if so, how can they get a hold of you? Or if you don't, what are some things they can do?
We're happy to speak with them. Happy to speak. We won't develop the plan for you, but we can definitely get you on the right track. And like I said, start talking about, what are the most common threats and hazards, and kind of do a risk assessment based on what you do. And that changes for every business, depending on what they're utilizing for resources.
And if somebody wants to get in contact with you, where can they contact you?
So they can call the office. We're 620-341-3210. Shoot me an email, jfell@lyoncounty.org. Nicole and I will both be happy to help them. We're more than happy to sit down and talk to people about what that process looks like, but there's also a wealth of information online, and everybody's plan is going to be a little different. Larger businesses are going to have a much more robust plan. They have a lot more resources, they have a lot more things to keep track of, whereas a smaller business may not have as much information to put in there.
And your office is located in the Lyon County Sheriff's Office.
Mhm. Yep, we're in the
So-
basement of the Sheriff's Office at 425 Mechanic Street.
So, great. What other information would you like people to know about you and emergency management?
About me and emergency management, jeez. We work hard for you. No, we are consistently coordinating with other agencies. Like our office is an office of two. We don't have an overwhelming number of resources, but our job is to coordinate with all the other resources, public safety, all of those, and build our plan. We have an emergency operations plan, and build that plan and continue the COOP plan. Every department in the county has their own COOP plan. So we have one for emergency management. All the departments in the county would have their own COOP plan. So you want to be, the right person has to be in the position to do the COOP plan. It's important that the information, we talk about developing it, but maintaining that plan, because
Yes.
information changes all the time. That is what we see that is the hardest part. It's pretty easy to kind of sit down and identify those first risks, identify what you will do when those things happen, but to continue to update that takes
A lot of
a lot of ongoing effort.
Right.
Well, Rebecca, do you have a sweet tip for us today?
I do have a sweet tip. Are you ready?
Hello, are you ready for today's sweet tip of the day? We are going to be talking about signing up for weather alerts here in Lyon County. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to go to lyoncounty911.org. Once we get there, we're going to go to this website here, and we're going to go here on top where it says weather alerts. We're going to click on it. And once we get here, we're going to scroll down a little bit where it says sign up. Once you click sign up, you're going to have that's going to come up where you're going to write your name, last name, you're going to make up a username, a password, and here are some things that you need to take into consideration when making a password. Location of information, so your address, and you just have to verify it. Give an email address, a number where they can text, then put your number again, and you accept the terms. So you can click here, and it shows you the terms of what you're signing, and you just create that account. It's that easy. I hope this helps, and have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed today's sweet tip of the day.
Thank you very much, Jarrod, for being with us today. We appreciate your information and hope that people do reach out if they would like some assistance and help in guiding them through their COOP plan.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
We
you
appreciate
for
your
having me.
time. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.